Hey YouTube, Kira Toy Kier, bringing you all my Rokket Yugioh deck profile for November 2018. Thought I'd bring an update to this deck. A lot of you have actually been asking for an update to the Rokket deck since the release of Cybernetic Horizon. I know they didn't really get much support themselves in the Soul Fusion booster pack, but I'm definitely looking forward to the Savage Strike booster pack where we get the synchro support for the deck, which should really change up the plays you can make with it. And Savage Dragon really just is a very good card overall for the deck as a whole. But we got some other support that I decided to add in. I also decided to take out the Mirror Force engine. It was kind of counterproductive. It was kind of a revolver play and not really one that focused entirely on the actual Rokket deck itself. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the Rokket monsters, I run 3 Magna Rokket Dragon. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Rokket cards, if a Link monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, you can destroy this card, then send 1 monster on the field to the graveyard. And during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed on the field by battle or card effect and sent there this turn, you can special summon 1 Rokket monster from your deck except for Magna Rokket, and you can only use each effect once per turn. So all the Rockets are similar with the effects where they are targeted by a Link monster and then they're destroyed, then you get an effect, and they all share the effect to special summon at the end of the turn, so you can always benefit from those monsters more and more with plenty of Rokket monsters on the field to use their effects in the graveyard. I also run 3 Auto Rokket, very similar to Magna Rokket, except with this one, you send a spell or trap card on the field to the graveyard. Then you have the same special summon effect as Magna Rokket with Auto Rokket from the graveyard. You just can't summon Auto Rokket, very similar with Magna Rocket's effect as well. I love that their attack stats are very powerful as well, so if need be, you can rely on them for attacking, but most of the time you want to use the Rokket monsters just to special summon out or your bigger Link monsters that you use with the deck. And I also run 3 Metal Rokket Dragon. With this one, if there's an effect that targets this card on the field, you destroy it, then you can destroy all of your opponent's cards in the column that this card was in. During the end phase, you have the same special summon effect as well. It's really good for the setup. You want to make sure you have Metal Rokket in a column that you know your opponent is going to make use of to take care of all those cards as well for that very powerful effect. Then you just get the special summon of a different Rokket, like all the other ones with Metal Rokket. And those are the only ones I run 3 of. For the 2 of, I run 2 Shell Rokket Dragon. This one is very interesting because it destroys adjacent cards as well with this one. So knowing that you could destroy a card in the same column as this and then anything adjacent to it. More situational, they've also affected its attack stats, but very good defense with this card. Just being able to use that effect as a whole for this one. And I run 1 Anise Rokket. This is always the one that I've been going back and forth with in this deck. I only run 1 of. It's an effect. Basically gets rid of an effect and then also negates an effect and then prevents attacking. So not as good as some of the other ones that have, you know, destruction capabilities, which really do come in handy against a lot of cards. But it can stop effects and stop attacks. So situational against some very pesky monsters for sure that maybe you can't destroy, but still take away that other effect. And then for the non-Rokket support, all the Rokket monsters are dragons and they're dark monsters, so they work very well with some of the other ones. I run 3 Gateway Dragon. Been running this card since Rokket monsters first came out. I like it more than Sniffer Dragon. I don't run Sniffer in the deck just because of some options for special summoning, which we don't have as much with the deck, just to use Sniffer Dragon. Plus, it's only a once per turn. If it wasn't a once per turn, maybe I would try and work something in with Firewall Dragon. But anyway, back to Gateway Dragon. This card, if your opponent controls a Link monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Gateway Dragon once per turn this way, and once per turn you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower Dark Dragon from your hand. And I always said the more Link monsters we get, the more beneficial Gateway Dragon becomes, just because more and more people Link summoning means it's easier to summon out this card. If he doesn't take up your normal summon, you can get that additional special summon and still have your normal to go off of. So a great card that starts off your Link plays in the deck for sure. And one of the new cards from Soul Fusion that I'm actually trying out in the deck is Chaos Dragon Levianeer. This one I wanted to maybe run 2 of. I'll show what I'd take out if I was to run another one later on with some of the other monsters. But it cannot be normal summon or set. It must be special summon from your hand by banishing 3 light and or 3 dark monsters. And then the special summon of this card. You can only apply this effect based on the number of tributes banished for this card. So if you use a light monster, you can special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense. Only dark, you shuffle shuffle one random card in your opponent's hand into the deck, and both light and dark, you destroy up to 2 cards on the field. I only use it for the dark since all the monsters we run in this deck are dark monsters, so you can make full use of the dark card. Very tricky for your opponent. Plus, it's a 3,000 attack monster, so you're able to take care of a lot of problems that your opponent may have in their hand waiting for you as well, and just on the field with its attack. Like I said, the fact that it's not too heavy cost, being able to, you only need to banish 3 light and or darks, so you can easily get those in the graveyard with your link setup and then get this card out. So I like to run this just for that easy special summon option. I also run 1 Hibernation Dragon. Still, if this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 level 4 or lower dragon in your graveyard, add to your hand. While you control no link monsters except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 dark dragon link monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and you can only use each effect of Hibernation Dragon once per turn. So it has good recycle properties, and so I like to keep it in the deck. I also run 1 Background Dragon to use with your Foolish Burial and your Dragon Shrine, just for the no cards in your control. So special summon it from it, and then you add 1 level 4 monster in your hand, gets special summon. So good field swarm for your graveyard plays. Now, if I were to run a second Levianeer in the deck, I would more than likely take one of these 2 cards out for that card, but it's basically situational what you want to take out. I guess it's more also a player preference. If you really like your graveyard plays, this card's good there. But the recycle effects come in handy with Hibernation as well. But once again, that's just really player preference there, depending on what you want to take out of the deck for a second Levianeer. If you want to just keep 1, you can even do that as well, because the banish can catch up with you also, depending on how many you have in the graveyard. But I also run 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Very easy to special summon this card out and then just make use of it from its special summon from the hand or graveyard. And I also run 1 Frisson just for the pay half. Then you special summon it to the field, and then it just goes to the bottom of the deck. But once again, it's another Foolish Burial or a Dragon Shrine target if you've already taken care of your background dragon. But I like running this with background just because of the fact that you have 2 options to go for if you've already opened up one of the other cards, whether it be on the field or in your hand. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Quick Launch. It's a very powerful spell in the deck. You special summon 1 rocket monster from your deck, but it cannot attack. Also destroy it during the end phase. Quick play spell card, so you can take care of it there. And then if your opponent doesn't destroy it themselves, you can destroy it and then still get the special summon off of the rocket monster. And I also run 2 Squib Draw. I've always kept the number ratio between Quick Launch and Squib Draw what it is, just because of the fact that we don't run pure rocket monsters. We still have some other monsters that are non-rocket that work with the deck. So with Squib Draw, you target 1 rocket monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, draw 2 cards. You can activate 1 Squib Draw per turn. Quick Launch gives you a guaranteed special summon, which is always helpful at 3, but if you don't have the rocket to destroy with Squib Draw, you're not going to get off the draws, but still 2 of, because most of the time you at least have some option available to you, or will, especially if you open up Quick Launch with Squib Draw to make use of. I also run 3 Boot Sector Launch, very good field spell in the deck, being able to special summon from either your hand or graveyard, depending on the situation. You can only activate 1 of each, and all rocket monsters you control gain 300 attack, bumping up their attacks, especially for big ones like Magna Rocket to 21 can really make a difference for sure. But you special summon up to 2 rocket monsters with different names from your hand in defense, or if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon rocket monsters with different names from your graveyard in defense up to the difference. I love the graveyard effect, especially if your opponent makes big plays, and then you can just come back next turn with this field spell. But early game, the hand one also does help, just for that special summon from your hand. Then you can make use of, let's say, other spell cards you run in the deck just to help with those cards. And I was running 1 Boral Regenerator. I've bumped it up to 2 now. Just this special summoning you can do with this, and then the draw power when this card is sent because the equipped monster is destroyed. Very helpful with more link plays, especially if you go through all your options, like especially using your 1 Quick Launch, or just getting the special summons off of that, and then just having the special summon option for the Boot Sector Launch already used as well. Boral Regenerator along with Monster Reborn and Soul Charge just keeps your special summonings going with your rocket monsters. And all the monsters in the deck are dark, so I run 3 Allure Darkness, pretty standard, just drawing through what you need. If I end up opening up with, either Hibernation Dragon or Background Dragon, I don't need either of those. I can use it for the Allure Darkness and then, actually have a use for them with the draw. And another one I am testing out is one Future Fusion. Now this card really does help with setup if you can successfully pull it off, just for the fact that you can get rocket monsters in the graveyard to make use of, whether it be with Boot Sector launch or just some of your other graveyard special summonings. And then the target we run with it is obviously the 5-headed dragons. You can get those 5 dragon monsters in the graveyard, then just, have plenty of special summons to go off of with that. Also, if you get the 5-headed dragon out, it's just an extra bonus if that does end up happening. But like I said, the graveyard search and send is basically what I run the Future Fusion for. And I was talking about these earlier, Foolish Burial and Dragon Shrine, just to help with Frisson, background, or just getting another one in the graveyard to use. I run one of each just because of the fact that Foolish is at 1 and Dragon Shrine is a once per turn, so you can at least use both of them if you open up both of them instead of just running 2 Dragon Shrines, since you do run all dragons in the deck anyway. And I also run the 1 Soul Charge and the 1 Monster Reborn. Already mentioned these earlier in the video. Just more special summoning with your Boot Sector launch, your Regenerators, you name it. Very helpful for your graveyard plays. And lastly, for the only traps I run 2 Link Turret. Now this definitely does come in handy for the counters you place on it, then just being able to special summon your rocket monsters. This card with Future Fusion early game definitely does help. After you get the successful send with the Future Fusion, and then just being able to special summon those monsters back, give you plenty of resources for sure. And the more counters you get on it, the more special summons, so you can make full use of it for sure. You already get the 4 counters with it regardless, but getting more on it is just extra helpful for sure. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra. Borolo Dragon is one of your main monsters you run in the deck. It just sets up so many plays with your rocket monsters, being able to target them with its minus 500 effect, destroy them, and then just get off their own effects. He's basically the machine that loads up the bullets and then fires them off. So one of it, very powerful Link monster as well when you can get out. Very difficult for your opponent to get over it. Same goes for Beauregard. I don't make it as often, but I would still, have the option and like to have the option depending on what I'm going up against for sure. I don't have Boral's Sword, but I would tell you in a bit what I would take out for it if I did have one. I also run 1 Twin Triangle Dragon just for the Link 2 options. Same goes for Mini Boral and also 1 Flash Charge Dragon. This one definitely does come in handy for the lockdown for sure. I also run 1 Nightmare Phoenix and 1 Nightmare Cerberus, so I have those special summon plays available to me. I also run 1 Wee Witch Apprentice. They're all dark monsters you run in the deck, so another easy Link to make. Underclock Taker for more generic rank 2 plays. I also run 1 Topologic Trisbana. The Link 3 option for this one definitely does come in handy for sure, depending on what I want to lock down with my opponent. Same goes for Triple Burst. When attacking, that negate has come in handy a lot of times. Also, 1 Topologic Bomber Dragon and 1 Saryuja for the last of the Link monsters. If you have Boral Sword, you can take out the Saryuja. I still love running Bomber Dragon and Trisbana just for the fact that they work very well with all the rocket plays. So Saryuja would most likely be the one I take out for the Boral Sword. And lastly, I run 1 Black Rose Dragon. You have Frisson in the deck, so you have synchro options available to you as well. Plus Black Rose is a dragon, so that comes in handy there. But the destruction effect on the field is the main reason I like to run this card. And I also run 1 5-headed dragon. This is just for the Future Fusion, so you have the fusion monster to go for. If you can get it out, that's an extra bonus, but most of the time, like I said, with Future Fusion, it's just to get my rocket monsters in the graveyard to use. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, I definitely wanted to bring an update to this deck recently, since it feels like it has been a while since the last update. But with the Savage Strike Booster Pack coming out next year, I'll definitely be looking forward to an update to this deck. Until then, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.